you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to The Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Tonight, I'm so excited to have on the show Rob Wheeler. Raised by a loving single mom in a small northwest town in the UK, Rob discovered music was a way of escaping the bullies and troubles that came with being the poor kid in a council house. Playing Hank, Cash, Eagles, and Beatles on his cheap guitar on the outhouse roof, overlooking the asbestos garages and uniform blue doors of his neighborhood, romanticizing a life on the road like his heroes.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Rob. How are you, man?
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm reading your bio, the asbestos garages. I love it, man. I come from Greece, and there's asbestos everywhere there too. But hopefully, you seem like you're doing okay. I don't think you have any lung problems, right?
I hope not. Yeah, we'll wait to see, I guess. But yeah, back then, that's what they did in the northwest of the UK. Like they built these council estates, all these little tiny uniformed houses. It was affordable living for poor people like us, and I'm not ashamed to come from that background. It kind of shaped, who I am specifically, I guess, as a songwriter too. And, it was kind of a fun place to grow up. But yeah, you knew you were on the wrong side of the tracks,
All right. So when did you start jamming on that guitar of yours?
Well, I come from a musical family, so I was around songwriting from quite a young age. But my first guitar was a two-string because everything else had snapped on it. And I just robbed this guitar from my uncle. And I was like playing things like Paranoid by Black Sabbath on this two-string guitar. And then I started to branch out to Hendrix, and I realized I'm going to need more strings. So I reckon I was about 16. I was quite late starting guitar, but I knew I was going to need more strings because I wanted to write my own songs. And that was the buzz for me. It wasn't necessarily being the next Jimi Hendrix or Joe Walsh. I wanted to be able to write the songs too and sing them. And I guess I figured, at that age, I'd be able to get more girls and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I wanted to be the cool guy, singing the ballads. And so that was me. And then, but yeah, I took to it really quickly. I was quite fortunate. Again, I think just being around a musical family, I just really took to it. And as soon as I got those three chords down, the G, the C, the D, I was away. I remember when I discovered E minor and the fourth chord came in, I was like, yes, I'm the next Paul McCartney. Here we go.
That's awesome, man. I've never heard of anyone playing music to get chicks or to get members of the opposite sex. This is a first for me. I just didn't even know that was a thing.
Sure.
All right. So tell us about your songwriting process. How does that work for you?
I think with songwriting, certainly as I've been writing for my own releases, which I only started doing around about 2015, I suddenly became a lot more introspective. So I think in the past when I was writing songs, because I had a publishing deal originally, and the plan was to write songs for other people. And I was signed to Books Music, which is an independent publishers out of the UK. They're very respected. They've got a great catalogue, including Bowie, Rolling Stones, Elton John. So they've got some great stuff. So I was just writing to spec a lot of the time. And then when I had this sort of epiphany that I was going to start to write for myself, suddenly the emphasis changed and the freedom of songwriting kind of left me for a little bit. And I came into this sort of state of overthinking everything.
Yeah.
And I wanted every word to count, every lyric to matter. I didn't want to just play the same chords. But then I realized all my favorite songwriters, all my favorite bands, particularly like the Beatles and Hank Williams, they never put those parameters on themselves. What they did was they were very free with what they did. And I think as soon as I'd sort of realized that and allowed myself to express these introspective thoughts, but with the freedom of just writing anything I wanted, that was how I found my sort of songwriting, common ground. That was the way that I took off. And I've kind of kept that with me ever since. So when I approach a song, I try and come at it with the sort of freedom of like anything can happen. I saw a great quote from Ed Sheeran the other day, actually. And he said, feel free to suck when you go in the studio. Like, it's okay to make the worst song that day, but just do it anyway, because you might write the best song, but don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work out. It's okay to write a bad song.
Yeah, not for sure.
And by having that freedom, and I think that's how I do it now. Is I'll get a little spark of an idea, and then I just allow it to be. And sometimes it grows, sometimes it stays, and occasionally it fades away. But I just allow that freedom to flow.
It's good advice. Do you have any advice that you would give to someone else pursuing this business?
The business or the joy of songwriting, because I think they would be two different pieces of advice.
Let's do both.
So I think, like, if for someone who just wants to write songs and pursue it as this beautiful, wonderful art that songwriting is, this expression, just go for it. Be truthful, be authentic, sing about things that you see, that you experience, and that you live, your loves, your losses, your passions, because you'll always write your best songs when you're being honest. I think in terms of the music business, I think it's a really tough time right now. I think it's one of the hardest times ever to try and enter the music business. So I think if you're going to do it, you've got to do it for the right reasons. If you're not going to have a mansion and a helicopter in a couple of weeks' time by releasing your songs on Spotify, unless you're extremely lucky. And it's not even about talent anymore. And I think that's one of the toughest things, because I think you can be really good and get nowhere. And so, yeah, I think my advice to anyone starting out in the business would be if this is not your passion, if this is not your true heart and soul, you're not going to enjoy it, because the knockbacks are more than they've ever been. So the only thing that's going to get you through is the love for what you do. So make sure you truly do love it, or maybe think about doing something else.
Yeah, no, for sure. What would you say is a typical mistake that most people have made that you didn't?
Wow, that is a brilliant question. I've never been asked that question before. Giving up too soon. I think it almost leads back into what I was saying before. I think what a lot of people do is I think they hope and pray that getting into this business is going to lead to this amazing success, and it's going to come quite quickly. You get your band together, you get a few songs, you go out on the road, you play some shows, you start getting some good feedback, and then you hit the bump in the road, or a band member leaves, or you get stuck on a song and you fall out, or you fall out over money, or me being a solo artist, you've got no one to lean on, you've got no one to share the journey with, the highs and the lows, and it can be quite isolating and lonely. So there comes a point where you hit, like running a marathon, you hit the wall. And then, can you keep going? Can you punch through the wall? And I did. I punched through the wall. I carried on getting through the hard times, and I didn't quit. I didn't give up when it was tough. And I think that's the thing. So, I think it's easy to stop. It's easy to sort of like take your foot off the gas, because it's so hard to get up the hill sometimes. But I just powered through, and I think that is perhaps the bit between my teeth to keep going. And to quote someone else, actually, there's an artist from New York called Nell Bryden, and I toured with her. And she said the only way to be successful in this business is to stay in it, stay in the game. And
that's great
I love
advice.
That. Yeah, and that's what I did. I just kept going when, and perhaps a few other people along the way would have decided to throw in the towel.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about the song we're going to hear in a minute. What inspired this one?
So, Throw a Little Light My Way was the first song that I wrote for this album, and it was the only song that I wrote before I left to go to Nashville, and ended up being out there for the duration of the writing and recording. And I wanted to write a song, and you know what? And you'll understand this. Like sometimes a song just falls out of heaven,
yeah,
and just comes to you. Like it's just falling out of you. This was one of those songs.
That's a cool feeling, isn't it?
I wish you could bottle it, because when there's days when nothing comes,
yeah.
You can go get it out of the cupboard and have a shot of whatever that is. If they made that into a bourbon, you could have a shot of that and you're like, yeah, okay, here we go, we can do it again. But yeah, Throw a Little Light My Way was just one of those flash moments. It just came, and I wanted to use the idea of sort of like, we've all been through those times when we're feeling very alone, afraid, isolated. And I think we all do, most people do, have someone usually they can call on, and perhaps they're too afraid to, or they don't want to share the problem, or the problem is so complicated or hard to talk about, they don't feel like they can. And this song is like trying to put that feeling into, like, to contextualize that feeling of having to need to borrow somebody's light because you're in so much shadow and so much darkness that you're almost saying, please, can you just, I don't even necessarily need to talk about my problem, but can you just face your light on me? Because I know that your light will give me enough then to get through the next bit of what I'm going through. Yeah, it just flowed, and I'm so proud of the lyrics in this song. I think they sum up that feeling really well. And I feel a little bit cringe saying that because obviously I'm talking about, I'm reviewing here my own music, and of course I love it. But I just think it's one of those rare moments where I've written a song that I really feel when people hear it, they will instantly connect with it. And I'm so proud of that. And the people that have heard it when I've done it live, we released like a little acoustic version so people could get a feel for it. And the response has been phenomenal for this song.
Awesome. Tell you what, let's take a listen. We'll come back and talk, okay?
Okay, great.
Okay, awesome. Check this out, everybody. Here we go.
When the clouds are weighing heavy and about to burst with rain, when the colors in my rainbow have to hide their face in shame, that's when I need a ray of sunshine and the comfort of your face. Come on, darling, throw a little light my way. How the sky can seem so sullen when the blue becomes the gray, like the fear on the horizon as the thunder rolls away. Keep me company in darkness, be the fortress that I crave. Come on, darling, throw a little light my way. Keep the sunrise in your smile. You shoot the stars out of your gaze. You're holding heaven in the palm of your hand. Come on, darling, throw a little light my way. When the north wind blows me over, I know winter's here to stay. As the last remaining embers on my fire have burned away, and bring me warmth and give me shelter, cast the shadow from my day. Come on, darling, throw a little light my way. Come on, darling, throw a little light my way.
So thank you so much for sharing that song with us.
Thank you for playing it and listening to it. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us what the next couple years have in store for you. Anything you want to share with the fans tonight?
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting end to the year because the album's already out, and I don't know if this is like, if I can reveal this, but it's just the way that it works in the industry that we are recording this a few days before the release. Is that okay I say that?
Yeah, sure.
So like, as we are now, we're having this lovely conversation. I'm in my vacation home, to use your American vernacular, and I don't know what's going to happen with this album, because we're 4 days away from it being released. So I'm hoping that by the time this goes out, which I believe is later on this year in the summer, it will have been successful. And then we'll go from there. But what I do know is that we've got a tour coming up, which is going to be fantastic. It's a UK tour. It's a UK headline tour with my band. And then following on from that, I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off because I've actually got to have a couple of operations. Nothing major. I've been diagnosed with a condition which means that my jaw and my neck and shoulders are in a lot of pain all the time. So I've got to have this little operation, and it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a little bit of downtime for me to reflect on the album and its successes, you know, and its high points and its low points. And then I think what's going to happen is then, because I need this time off, I'm going to come back in 2026, sort of refreshed, if you like, and hopefully feeling fitter and healthier than I've been in a long time. And then I want to go back in to record what I always had in mind, which was the sequel to the Leave Tomorrow album, which was a sort of working title as Hometown. And the idea is it's like the Campbellian archetype of the hero's journey, that you go and experience the journey and then you come home again. And the first album, Leave Tomorrow, is the journey out. It's the exciting, you know, trip to Nashville, go and see the world, try and escape and discover new things. And of course, then what you have to do after the journey, after the adventure, is come back again. And that's going to be the follow-up album. So, but we'll see how that goes. You know how these things change. We'll have to see if the songs come as easy as they did for the Leave Tomorrow album. But that's my plan.
That's awesome, man. So when you look at the music industry as a whole, one of the questions I love to ask people is about scams. Tell us about something you might have fallen for.
I've actually been quite lucky that I've not really had many bad experiences. I've always been very protected by the team around me, but I did have a particularly bad experience with somebody who worked in PR, and she offered to come on board, and her big selling point was, I'm going to get your name out there into the tabloids, into the media. And she set a fee, and we discussed it, and I paid the fee, and she went off, and she sent me back the headlines that were going to be used for this press release. And it was the most basic, debased, gutter journalism.
Oh, that's terrible.
Talking about things like my gym slip mother and things like that, because she was a young mum, and poor boy, and all this like really gutter journalism. Like, and I know like journalism can be bad everywhere, but in the UK we have this really like horrible gutter press side to media, and it was really was like stuff like nothing to do with music, and I was absolutely devastated because I didn't want this going out. So then obviously what happened then was, she said, well, if you don't want it, then you don't have it. And that's that. And she kept the money, and that was the end of that. So the scam, I guess, was really a case of like trying to play into the idea of me being successful by getting my name out, because it's something that obviously you have to do as an artist. And I think most of us artists don't really enjoy that side of it, in truth. What we enjoy is the creative side of things, don't we? We don't want to do all the press and the journalism. Yeah. So we want someone else to do it for us. And what I hoped for was to sort of, get some nice little pieces about my songwriting journey, like this lovely conversation I'm having with you now. And instead, we were aiming for, the sort of magazine rack of, the tube station. Talking about my past.
Listen, live and learn, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? I will say this, I'm very blessed with the team that I've got around me now. They look after me so much, and I'm grateful to them every day. I've got a great team. So,
all right, tell you what, tell us where people can find your stuff, buy it, stream it. Where can they find you online?
So I'm literally on everything from Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Apple Music, Tidal. I think I'm even on like Rightmove and all, I'm on everything. So if you type Rob Wheeler into Google, you will find me. And if you type me into your DSP, wherever you listen to music, you'll find me. And what I really would love to do, I'm hoping, is come to the States and do some shows in 2026 as well. So if you go onto my website, robwheelersongs.com, you can follow all my socials on there, and hopefully I'll be playing a show near you soon. And check out the album if you haven't already.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight, man. It was a lot of fun. I think your story will resonate.
Well, thank you for speaking to me, and it's an honor to be on such a great show with such. I listened to a few of the interviews you've done, and you've got some amazing guests on, so I'm honored to be one of them. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you to all the fans tonight for joining us. Please join us every single Tuesday evening on Reality Radio 101.9 to hear all these awesome artists. And we hope your unique story gets heard around the world too. Let's keep creating, connecting, and letting all of our stories be heard. Until then, keep writing, and I'll see you next Tuesday evening on the Songwriter Show. Have a great night, everyone. I love you guys. I ran away to the city that one day. There I found so much trouble, nearly drowned. The bold taste was a thrill, but a waste. Only ended up in a corner, badly dented up. Each dawn brushings, no real freedom in the rain. It's the smell of wonder and way we fell. Needed you, the green grass and thunder. The mirror couldn't lie. Sad, tired eyes, so I said goodbye. Trapped and scared. Even I couldn't stop me. Forgot everything you taught me. You were right, the leeches latched on so tight. I learned my lesson late, but now I make my great escape. The journey
for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.